Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Krishna C. Nadella, and this is State of Mind. We're really lucky to come back to McMaster University and speak with the Director of Athletics and Recreation, Glen Grunwald. Glen's going to come back to the show, give us an update on McMaster University, and more importantly, talk about the state of student athletics. Join me. Glen, welcome back to State of Mind. Thank you so much for joining us.
Great to be here, and welcome back to McMaster.
Thank you very much. Now, it's been a year since you were last on the show, so help our audience level set. What has McMaster Athletics been doing since we last spoke? And more importantly, help us give a state of student athletics.
Well, we did well. We had another good year last year. Our women's rugby team won the national championship, first time ever, and our men's volleyball team did very well, and we had all the other sports were ranked in the top 10. So we had a very good program, very strong showing. We have big plans. You know, we're hoping to help create the healthiest campus in the world here at McMaster. And for that, we need some additional facilities. So we're working with the McMaster Students Union to do some planning and maybe expand our facilities and ensure that all of our students will feel welcome here in our recreational areas.
Now, I do have to ask some very pointed questions because there's been a lot happening in the world of student athletics in the last year. So I'm actually going to read this one verbatim.
Okay.
As a Northwestern alum, it was a little over a year ago when the National Relations Labor Board dismissed a petition by Northwestern football players who were seeking to unionize, effectively denying their claim that they are university employees and should be allowed to collectively bargain. What were your thoughts on this case, especially as a lawyer yourself?
Well, the NCAA is a big business, right? And I think the student athletes there realize that it is a big business, and a lot of people are making a lot of money off of their hard work and efforts and passions. So it's understandable that that they sought to do that, to take a little bit piece of that action, let's say. And the NCAA is taking some steps, but obviously I think it's got a ways to go. You know, it's interesting here in McMaster. It's Steel Town, right? We had U.S. Steel, and Dofasco was here for a long time. Dofasco's slogan was, "Our product is steel, but our strength is people," right? And they were never unionized because they treated their people very well. U.S. Steel, on the other hand, was strongly unionized, right? They're bankrupt right now. Dofasco's still going strong. So it's really, I think it's a message to the NCAA. You've got to treat your people well, and you've got to treat them so that they feel respected. And so far, I think a lot of student athletes don't feel that way.
Let's take it to Canada now.
Yeah.
How is the Canadian student athlete treated, and specifically here at McMaster?
Well, we do the best we can. We don't have the same resources as NCAA. We don't have the huge television income from football and men's basketball. But we are student focused. Everything we do here is in the best interest of the students. So we don't make decisions for winning or for making more money. We make a decision on what's best for the student athlete. And I think too often in the NCAA, they make decisions not in the best interest of the student athlete, but what's in the best interest of their business. It's more of a pro model, which is fine. But I don't think people go to the NCAA thinking that they're going to a pro model system where we're out here to win. If you don't perform, you're out.
Right.
I think it's a little bit different than that, and I think expectations are different, and the NCAA has to realize that and treat their student athletes a little bit better and share a little bit more with them, because they are putting so much into it and they're producing so much income for the schools and the coaches and the administrations. I think there is something there. We are in a different model, obviously. They're a big business and we're not. We're here for the student athletes. I wonder sometimes about the NCAA.
So let's talk about the pro model, because you played college basketball at Indiana. This one and done system that currently exists, where players play for a year, or technically they just have to wait one eligible draft year before they can go to the pros. Is this not cheapening the game at the NCAA level because players aren't sticking around very long?
It certainly is. It certainly is. And you see attendance declining in the NCAA for basketball. So if you look at what's happening, prep schools are rising, even here in Canada for basketball. Obviously hockey, the junior hockey system is very strong. So if you're really passionate, you really think you have a chance to be a pro, is the NCAA the best way to go? You can always go back to go to school, but you can also go to the CBA now, the NBDL, and you can go to junior hockey. So we can really devote yourself to that sport. And if it doesn't work out, then you can move on to other things. So you see, I think, a decline in the competitiveness of the NCAA basketball. And you see a higher hockey being played, higher level hockey being played in junior hockey. So, you know, it's interesting that the same pressures of professionalism is also affecting the product that the NCAA puts out on the field.
So something you brought up last year, and we just spoke to President Dean about, is the aspect of mental wellness. You mentioned this is a very important aspect of your mandate as the athletic director and director of student athletics and recreation here at McMaster. Talk to me about how that has evolved. Sports psychology is such a big thing now with big-time athletics. Where is its place, and talk to me about the science and the business of it.
Well, you know, there's the whole person approach, right? When we're here to cultivate human potential in all its many aspects and forms, right? So the mental part is so much greater than even the physical part. So we want to make sure that we provide the resources, whether it's through our athletic department or whether it's through the Student Wellness Center here, where when people need help, support, that it's there for them and they're aware of it. And they shouldn't be afraid to ask for it or fear that it's a showing of a weakness.
Right.
So we try and educate people about mental health and wellness, and then make sure that they know the resources are there for them when they do it.
Okay. Now, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask some pointed questions about some of the news that has come out over the last summer within the world of athletics. Specifically, the Brock Turner rape scandal case at Stanford and the issue with Baylor University and their football program with the multiple accounts of sexual assault. Not wanting to get into the specific details because that has been well documented, but what are your thoughts on this? Are these isolated events, or is it more representative of the relationship of student athletes with universities?
Right, so you can't provide special benefits or treatment to student athletes, I think. You know, and the universities across Ontario are working towards a sexual assault plan that's comprehensive and fair to both sides of the issue. So we need to be fair to our students, to our community, to make sure that people are safe, and also that due process is followed for anyone that's accused of that. And we would follow whatever process that the university established or the police established in dealing with those issues.
So along the same lines, let's talk about McMaster and some of the positive things that have been implemented. Let's talk about diversity, equality. How important is that part of your mandate in terms of bringing that to the awareness, not just at the student athletic level, but the student level?
Right, it's about inclusion, right?
Yeah.
It's about bringing people together through sport and recreation. And so we try and offer different sort of sports. We're trying to offer more para-sports now, although it's expensive for us to get the wheelchairs in, but those are new developments that we're working on, as well as other sports that appeal to different sorts of communities. So we're hosting the Aboriginal Games here, the North American Aboriginal Games in 2017. So we're looking at those sorts of sports and activities that our Aboriginal community plays besides lacrosse. Right. You know, so some other ancient games and things of that nature. And we also want to be inclusive, because very often for people that are not gym rats or jocks, it's a little intimidating to come to a workout and see all these fit people, but we want to make sure that we offer programming and experiences and space that is welcoming and not intimidating. And so we want to appeal to everyone and try and make it offer programming and spaces that work for everyone's where they're at in terms of their physical fitness.
So it's been 2 years since you became the Director of Athletics and Recreation at McMaster. We're in the second half of the decade. What are you most proud of, and what are you looking forward to? What mandates are really important for you to accomplish during your time here?
Well, I'm most proud of the student athletes that we have here, that we attract such great people and that they develop into wonderful, community builders in this area. We have a sign out in the lobby now. 5 of our student athletes last year won community service awards in the Ontario Athletic Association, and we're very proud of that. The MAC Athletes Care Program, where our student athletes go out into the community and mentor and work with children looking for better opportunities, is really one of the strengths. And I think it helps our athletes get outside of their own head and their own issues to see that they are leaders, they are people that young people will look up to, and that there are other things out there besides their studies and their athletic endeavors.
So let's talk about that. In the 1990s, Charles Barkley famously said he is not a role model. What are your thoughts on that statement? And when you look at the student athletes here in the Burridge Gymnasium here at McMaster University, would you not say that these are all not just student athletes, but role models for students, for young individuals who are maybe in high school?
Well, Charles likes to say things that are outrageous, so good for him. But no, I think it's true that you can be a role model. You don't have to be, right? I mean, you can be a good or a bad role model too. So that we just want to enlighten our student athletes to know that they are looked up to by a lot of people, particularly younger folks, but even older folks too. They approach the sport here. They're not doing it for money or anything like that. They're doing it for the passion, for their teammates, and to see how good they can be. And I think, when people come to our games and see our student athletes and get to meet them and get to know them a little bit, I think they feel a little bit better about our future for our society,
right,
because all these great kids are here and they are going to be leading our community in the not too distant future. So I think in that way they're a good role model too.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the differences between the United States and Canada. What lessons could the American academic system learn from a college athletic standpoint from what you've experienced here in Canada?
Well, you know, I think to put the student athlete first is the number one thing, and too often that doesn't happen. Whether it's being asked to play because even though you're injured and probably shouldn't be playing, or you know, whether you're not treated the way you should, or the commitments that were made to you have not been fulfilled. So I really think that to the extent a student athlete has a bad experience, it's sort of like, is this the way it really works in the world? Or are they being shown integrity? Are the universities and the administration and the coaches being good role models? I think that's where it needs to go. And that's easy for me to say. I'm not you know, worried about millions of dollars of revenue or $1 million salary. So, but I think that's something that I would say that we're really focused on here. What's best for the student athlete. Right.
So, on the flip side, what can Canadian universities learn from their American counterparts?
How to make money. No, it's a different system, a different past, a different heritage. But I tell you what, the games are just as exciting here, and the people are working just as hard and care just as much as anywhere else.
So, final thoughts. We are at the beginning of a brand new school year. Lots of excitement, a lot of hopes and dreams, a lot of passion. What advice would you give to incoming students and current students about the year ahead?
My advice would be to put yourself out there. Like, there's so much in the world and so many different people you're going to be exposed to, so many different subjects, so many different things you can do. You know, don't be afraid to try something new. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But there's so much out in the world that you can see, and go out and meet people, make friends, do different things, and have some fun and enjoy it. And don't worry too much about, you know, the grades, although you know, you have to prioritize. Yeah, you have to prioritize your time. You have to do the work as well.
And then final question to parents: what advice would you give to them?
Be there when needed, but not be there all the time. You know, ask questions, but if you don't get the answers you're looking for, you know that people are growing up. They're separating from their parents, but I'm sure they still love you, and be there when you're needed, and trust your children.
Well, Glenn, thanks so much for joining us back
great
on
seeing
State
you
of
again.
Mind,
Yeah.
Good luck with the new school year, and all the best to McMaster Athletics and Recreation.
Go, Mac, go.
Absolutely. That'll wrap up our show for today. If you like what you saw in today's episode, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe at the various social media platforms at the bottom of your screen. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, every life is a book. Make yours a bestseller. Have a good night.